What's up, everybody? Unrested out here today in Kobe again with another JFAQ, but today's a little bit different. This JFAQ is a response to Ryan Boundless's videos. His newest video, it's called "A Benchmark for Happiness." What a pathetic something or other. It's something about like how the little bit of happiness that he got from his day in Japan for the day was really pathetic, and that how hard life can be sometimes in Japan. And I'm not here to make a response to attack the video in any way at all. In fact, I want to first of all tout it as what a damn good video. It's a great video, and honestly I think points that Ryan Boundless makes are great because he's one of the few J-vloggers out there, I'd like to include myself in this, that don't try to paint Japan as non-stop happiness and sugarcoat it. I think that's one of the problems. And I have nothing against anybody who's a student here in Japan, but when somebody's a student in Japan, they tend to only be here for about 3 months, they go home. The first 3 months of Japan are a honeymoon period. Everything and anything you meet, see, look at, or do is wonderful. You are in Candyland, you know, everything's like Disney World every day. You're having a great time for the most part. I mean, once in a while you get somebody who gets crazy homesick or super depressed, but that's a rare occasion. For the most part, everyone's like, wow, I can't believe I'm in Japan, oh my God. So you're getting those videos which just paint Japan as like, wow, it's this wonderland you always thought it was. It's like a super anime fantasy land. And then you get Ryan, who's lived here for over a decade, as he says in his video. I don't know exactly how long. I think it's like 13, 15 years. I myself, 9 years. So I could probably put myself up there with some of the other people who've lived here long term, I hope. You can consider 9 years long term. And yes, I will continue to live here. No plans to go home. And the other thing I should say is he has what first brought me to Ryan's videos and what made me really respect his videos, first of all, let me just give him his own credit, is he did a whole series when he went through a divorce in Japan. And that's not only just something that people don't normally talk about Japan, but they don't talk about on YouTube. Oftentimes social media is used only to glamorize people's lives. It's used only to talk about how awesome their day is. What are they eating? Where are they going? How are they training? How much of a better person they're becoming each and every day, and how happy are they? When real life is very, very not much like that. Real life is a struggle. It's not super fun every day. That's not to say it's nonstop negative, but it's not nonstop fun and positive either. And to actually expose one's true life and the true aspects that are just as unhappy as the happy parts is brave. And it's often something not done on social media by even the biggest celebrities, you know, around the world. Like, you know, you don't really hear big celebrities talking about the worst parts of their life. Oh, I'm going to jail again today. I got caught with drugs again. Oh, I'm getting a divorce. Cheated on my wife. You know, you don't see those kind of posts. I mean, maybe once in a while you do if they're absolutely scandalous or it's TMZ reporting, but for the most part, people don't blab about the darker parts of their life. And they don't really key you into how different parts can be a struggle. And that's what he's done with his Japan video about how hard it is sometimes for him to be happy in Japan. Now, I don't think you should go by this video and just decide, well, this guy is a super unhappy dude every day. I'm sure there are parts of Ryan's life that are far happier. He's just not afraid to put the darker parts on either. But that being said, I'd like to address just a few of the things in his video. I'm not going to address them in a way to attack at all. I'm actually going to confirm that quite a few of the things that he says are totally right. For example, his example of if I go to a store and I try to ask for help from a Japanese person, they'll try to talk to my wife instead of me, even if I'm talking to them in Japanese. And other things like what we call the dancing bear syndrome, where you walk around with your Japanese wife or Japanese girlfriend or Japanese friend, male or female, and everyone wants to talk to the Gaijin next to them and ask him all kinds of questions like, is that your real hair? Is that your real eye color? Can you use chopsticks? Like stuff like that. You know, like, are you a human who can do stuff and has the same type of things as me but just a different color? Like, that does get a bit monotonous. That does get a bit ridiculous. But there are ways that I like kind of defend that, or there's ways that I use those things against people or use them in a way where I'm like, hey, guess what? That's not cool to say anymore, without being a total dick about it. Or maybe I am a total dick about it sometimes, but who cares, you know? I feel like if someone's doing the wrong thing or something that is offensive to you and will most likely be offensive to Gaijin to follow after you, you should probably just give them a heads up and let them know. And the way people do that differs. Some people are very polite about it, some people are dickheads about it. I think I'm a little bit of both. So I'll give you some example of those in this. First of all, let me just, I guess, recite as much as I remember of his video. I just watched it moments ago only. It's just an easy 5-minute video, and I'll put a link to it in the description below so you too can watch it. I highly recommend you check it out and watch a few of his other videos, subscribe to his channel. I think you'll enjoy a very different aspect of Japan, and you'll enjoy an aspect of Japan from a guy who's been here longer than most of the people you watch, which really gives you a real aspect of Japan. I'm sorry, again, nothing against students or you know, people here just for a short time. There's nothing wrong with that. But your vision of Japan and us who have been here, you know, a decade or more, definitely is different. It's definitely very different. Those, like, you know, if you've done stuff like I've purchased a house or started a family or, you know, sent my kids to school or purchased a car even, you know, those are aspects of Japan I think a lot of people can't talk about. All right, so sitting down now, let me just adjust the camera real quick. Okay, there we go. That's easier. So much easier to hold the camera and talk now. Okay, let me just catch my breath here. Bit of a walk there, a bit of a rush today, getting through all the crowds and all the trains. Okay, so if I remember correctly, his video starts out, he's talking about a bike ride that he took. He found a nice trail and he just sat down. He was talking to his friend in Austin, was it? Am I correct? Somewhere in America. And he was telling him just about how, like, he doesn't get treated right by Japanese people, that he's treated like a second-class citizen, that he talked about, like, when he goes to a store, people will talk to, I guess he was talking about either a friend or a girlfriend rather than him, that is Japanese, not him, and that, you know, he's treated like the dancing bear, he's treated like a pet, he says, and there are certain aspects of this that are true. Like I just said just a second ago, you get the same goddamn stupid questions over and over again, and I hope with the 2020 Olympics coming soon, Japan starts to realize how stupid some of these questions are. Like, can you use chopsticks? Guess what, Japan? Other countries fucking have chopsticks. Jesus H. Christ. It's 2015. Everybody's probably used chopsticks in their own country by now. You know, there's probably, if not a Japanese restaurant, a Chinese restaurant somewhere else in the world, okay? So they use chopsticks too. You can get them. Some of the placemats even have, like, instructions on how to use it, or some of the chopsticks that you open up, the paper on top of them has instructions on how to use them. You read them because they're in English, and you follow the instructions, and now you know how to use chopsticks. It's the same as me asking if you know how to use a fork, and that's what I do. I ask them, well, do you know how to use a fork? And they're like, well, yeah, of course. And I'm like, thought so. And then that's when they finally key into, oh, so them using chopsticks is like me using a fork. Wow, that was a fucking dumb question. Like, so that's what I'm talking about, just giving people some clues without being outright dick or aggressive, and just letting them know, like, you know, come on, man, really? You're gonna ask that question? Or are those your real eyes? I've had that question so many times. Are you wearing contacts, or are those your real eyes? You know, ask them the same thing. They'll be like, well, it's only as real as the wig you're wearing. And they'll be like, I'm not wearing a wig. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're not wearing a wig. I'm not wearing contacts. Blue colored contacts for Gaijin. I mean, do a lot of Gaijin wear those these days? Not that I'm aware of. And why would I come to Japan to wear blue colored contacts? Very strange. I guess they're hazel though, aren't they? They're hazel. Don't get the color wrong, Scott. So these are how I deal with these sort of situations. Like I said, he has been here longer, so he's had to deal with them longer, so I'm sure it's getting more frustrating with every year. But there's people who've been here even longer than him, like Kiko Simon or Victor, and they seem to be just fine with these situations. And I think that's just because they've learned different ways to approach them that satisfy their need. And I think that's what you need to work on. It's something you slowly work on while you're here. And I'm not saying Ryan doesn't have these skills. He does. He has these skills. He knows how to combat these different things. He's just taking time to make a rant video about things that piss him off, which he has every right to do. every country has its positive sides and its dark sides. I've talked about this in my Dark Side of Japan videos. You know, as much as I love Japan, there are bad things about it, and I made videos about those. Just because you have a wonderful experience in a place, or if you have a mediocre experience, doesn't mean you can't make a negative video about the place. You know, there are certain aspects I absolutely love about America, but we have a problem with guns, okay? I'm not saying ban guns, okay? I'm not saying take away guns from people. My household has 5 guns. My dad has like 5 guns. So, but it is a problem there. I'm just saying, just because you live somewhere and you thrive there and every day you work there doesn't mean you can't complain about it. That's like saying like, oh, well, don't talk about how you can improve this place. It's at its most perfect point right now. Like, that's not true for any country in the world. If it was, we would all emulate that country. So telling people to shut up because they're living there and working there is a moot point. You know, people in your country too have complaints about it, I'm sure. There is no perfect country. So that's not my point. I'm not trying to fault him for these videos, but I am saying some of my own techniques that I use to push past these kind of negative encounters. And I'm not saying my techniques are good for him to use or he should use mine. And I'm not saying you should use mine. I'm just saying these are mine and maybe you can create your own from those, get some ideas, brainstorm from those, or at least be ready for the kind of negative encounters that you will have. Because like I said, Japan isn't 100%, you know, flowers and rosebuds and sugar covered and 100% happy every day. You're gonna run into racist people. I've definitely run into a few racist salarymen who straight up gotten racist in my face. Of course, I yell right back at them. I scare the shit out of them. I had one guy who was like a total fuckhead on the train one time. He wouldn't let my son and I on the train. I'm trying to put my baby cart on the train, which it was like a totally empty train at the time. I'm not talking like rush hour, the train's packed to the gills. You should like collapse your baby cart and maybe hold your baby. We're talking a really empty train in the middle of the day, like 2:30 p.m. where it's not rush hour. And I don't know what this dude's problem was. He's standing right in front of where you push or walk on. Like you push your cart on or you walk on. And like the train is literally level with the platform to push a wheelchair on or a baby cart on. And he's just standing there. And I'm even close to the area. Like there's a section of the train where there's like a sign for a baby cart. And I'm pushing to get on for that area because that's the easiest. There's the most room. And they've like literally taken a bar away and a seat away so that you can easily fit a baby cart in there. And I'm just like, okay, just trying to get in, like, you know, and like I didn't say anything like that. I just like made the motion like I was trying to get in. He just wouldn't move. And like he's looking right at me like with this angry look on his face. I'm just like, torimasu, like I'm trying to get through. And he wouldn't move. And like the train's doors are about to close. I'm guessing he's like wanting me to wait for another train because he doesn't want to share the train car with me. I just pushed that thing on, man. I fucking slammed his leg with my cart. And he was just like, what the fuck? Like, you just gonna push into me like that? And I'm like, well, you're blocking the door, motherfucker. And, you know, I didn't say this. Like, I just gave him a look like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And then I pushed my son's cart into where it fit, where, like, literally there is a sign with a cart and a baby sitting in it. So, like, if you're gonna, you know, cause a scene, people are gonna be like, excuse me, sir, that the guy did park his cart where the baby cart sign is. So I don't know what you're talking about. So he comes all up to me and starts like talking shit. Like he's wearing like a mask, like one of these like, you know, medical masks. And he's all like, so I can't quite understand what he's saying, but I know he's talking shit. He's like right up in my ear. Like, so I was like, all right. I park my son's cart. I lock it in so like it can't move around when I let go. Because if you let go, you know, it can move around on the train. So you lock the wheels. I was wearing a long sleeve shirt because I just gotten off of work at the time. My son was going to the kindergarten that I was working at. I was like, all right, you know. So I take off my long sleeve shirt. Of course, I got all my tattoos out. Right away, this dude freaks out. Like, because what I was thinking is I was like, this guy's going to rumble. Like, I know in any fight, the first thing that happens is people grab, especially in a country where judo's taught. People grab for collars. They grab for shirts. Like, you get into this tug of war match. And I had this, like, really baggy long sleeve shirt. And I was like, all right, I've got, like, a tight wife beater type shirt. Sorry for the name for that. That's the name for that. That shirt on underneath, I'm gonna just take off this one because I know he can't grab as much loose material. I take that off. I didn't even think about the fact that I'm covered in tattoos. And when I take that off, this dude turned like pale. Like he turned like as white as the mask he was wearing. He smeared himself up against the exit door that would open on the opposite side. The second we got to the next station, he like ran off. So that's how I combated that. I was like, all right, fine, we're gonna go then. Like, don't be afraid to stand up to people who do shit like that to you. For the most part, they'll probably back down. Now, if you see some dude with his ears all boxed up, they look like cauliflower, or like some thug-ass Yakuza looking, or Bosazoku dude, you know, who looks rough as hell, maybe, you know, count your bets. Like, be like, oh, should I really do this? I think I'm gonna hold my cards closer to my chest on this one. Maybe don't get into a rumble, but like, if you just see a crusty-ass old salaryman, they're breakable, man. They're just weaklings. For the most part, like, they're gonna back down. They're having a bad day because they're, you know, having a shit day at work. Should they take that out on you? No, that's not justified. So fight back, man. Don't back down for anyone. That's one thing I always, that's always my personal philosophy, is I don't back down. Like, I'm not like, oh, okay, I'm sorry you're having a really bad day and taking it out on me. Let me go ahead and apologize for that. Well, no. Apologize for your bad day. You know, like, if some really old dude, or like some guy who has some sort of obvious like mental affliction is going nuts on the train, which you do see once in a while. It's not like a common everyday thing, but it does happen. You have a huge elderly population here, and you have them using the train like nonstop to get everywhere they want to go. Understandably, because they can use it for free. And sometimes I've seen ones where they just like wig out on the train. Like, there was this one guy one time where the train was like super crowded, and he was like screaming and shouting. He was just like angry because the train was super crowded, and hadn't have anything to do with me, but he was just going nuts, and like, he's stomping and throwing his fists around and stuff, and he like stomped on this one little girl's like foot and stuff, and she started to cry, and like, her mom was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And so, like, finally, like, the train stopped, and we came to the next stop, and right away, like, the EKI managers were at the door. I guess they had gotten a report from the guy who was driving the train, because he was next to the window of the driver's area. I don't know what it's. So like, the final car, the last car on the train on both sides has a driver in it, and he has a window in the back of his driver's seat that can see what's going on. So he saw this shit going on. He radioed up and was just like, dude, this dude is freaking out. I don't know what the hell his problem is. And I don't know if the dude was old, or if he had like dementia, or what was going on, man, but this dude was freaking out, and he stepped on this girl's foot. She's crying. Her mom's freaked out. She's like, I don't know if this crazy old dude's gonna hit her or what. The train station, we get to the next train station, the train doors open up, the EKI managers are there. That's like the station managers. Two big dudes are just like, all right, come on, man, get off the train, dude. What are you doing? You're freaking out here. And like, he's like, no, man, this is my train, and I'm gonna go to the next stop, and the next stop. I don't care, man. I need to stay on here. I'm gonna be late. Like, I don't know what he could have been late for. He was definitely retired, so maybe a doctor's appointment. I don't know. And he was like, no, and he's like backing up against the wall, and like, they didn't have time to get on the train and like get back off of the train, or they're gonna mess up the next stop for the timing and everything. And you know, Japanese trains, they're on time, man. Got to give them that. And so I was just like, all right, dude, come on. And I just like pushed him, like, I just like grabbed the back of his shirt and just pulled him over. Like, he was light as hell. So I was just like, come on, get over to him. They're gonna handle you. And they're just like, oh, arigato gozaimashita. Like, they're like thanking me and stuff. And you know, we had to get him off, dude. He was attacking a little girl, man. You just gotta fight back, man, when you see stuff like that. I mean, I know that's not everybody's disposition, but that's my personal philosophy. And what you gotta do is just find your own personal philosophy of how you're gonna fight back a situation like that. Because it's gonna occur, it's gonna happen in Japan. You're gonna have people who are racist, you're gonna have idiots who are only gonna talk to the Japanese person in the room. That Ken Tanaka video where they all go to the restaurant and he tries to order in Japanese, and the Japanese waitress will only talk to the only Asian-looking person who's Korean and doesn't speak Japanese in the group, which is a hilarious skit. Well done, Ken Tanaka, as always, hilarious. It's very true. It's funny. It's a comical situation, but it's so goddamn true. It's happened so many times. Like, I think one of the biggest things I get into is when I try to return something at a store, they'll try to talk to my wife because they know she'll back down easier. She'll usually be like, oh, shimasen, gomenasai, gomenne. Like, and I'll just be like, no, man, it doesn't work, man. I'm returning this. Like, or like, sometimes the problem you'll have is if you have a Western computer, certain Japanese hardware won't work with it. So I bought Japanese hardware before, asked before I bought it, is this gonna work with my computer? They're like, yeah, of course, man, totally gonna work and everything. So I'll bring the laptop in and I'll be like, look, it doesn't work. And like, they'll be like, no, it should work. I'll be like, well, just show me how, and like connect it up. And they can't get it to work. I had it one time with like this little DJ thing I had, and some other hardware that I had. It was two things I had bought, and they were pretty expensive, so I wanted to get my money back. I mean, I wasn't like, you know, fuck this, it's broken. It just didn't work with my American laptop. And they tried everything. They're like, yeah, you're right, it doesn't work. I'm like, yep, right. So I'm gonna return it. And they're like, ah, and they start talking to my wife. Like right away, they stop the conversation with me and start talking to my wife. And they're like, oh, hey, like, so he's already opened it and everything. So I don't know if we can return it and stuff. And I'm like, oh, excuse me, you want to go ahead and just talk to me because I'm the one returning it. And they're like, oh yeah, well, we're just trying to explain the situation to your wife. And so I turned to my wife and I'm like, Aya, go ahead and just leave, okay? You need to just head out, like go to the bathroom or do whatever you need to, like go get a bite to eat or something. And she was like, oh, thanks. Like she wanted to get out of it too. Like, she didn't want to try and argue for me. Like it was a tense situation for her. I'm like, go ahead and just leave the store. So she left and I'm like, now you got to talk to me, all right? I'm the customer. I'm the one who bought this. She has nothing to do with this purchase other than the fact that she walked into the store with me. Like her name's not on the receipt. It's not bought with like a credit card of hers or anything. So, I was like, yeah, I'm returning this. This doesn't work with. And like, eventually, like as soon as she left, like they're like, so they returned it right away. I've had situations like this happen quite a bit where like either she's tried to return something for me and they won't return it for her, or like she'll return it and then like we had one time where like a DVD didn't work at Tsutaya, which is like a video rental place, and just like it doesn't work, and they're like, oh, that's too bad. And we're like, yeah, so just just give us the 100 yen back on like no, I think it's 500 yen on the movie. I was like, just give us the 500 yen back, we'll just rent a different movie, or we'll rent the same movie but just a different copy that's not so scratched up. Like, nah, yeah, we can't do that, we don't know, you might have already had time to watch it. And we're like, no, it didn't work, just pop it into one of your VCRs over here, like I mean your DVD players over here. VCR. Wow, 1980s. Like just pop it in, just check it out, because they've got them like all behind the counter, and they're like, oh, we're really busy right now, we got a lot of customers, we don't have time to do that. I'm like, okay, well then just give me the money back. And I mean, this is what my wife is all saying like right now. And like, yeah, we can't do that. So I was in the store too and they didn't know that. She calls me on the cell phone and she's like, hey Scott, they don't want to give me the money back on the DVD you bought, that doesn't work. And like the other 3 DVDs worked and I paid for them, I watched them, I loved them. I was like, just this one doesn't work. Like I'm not trying to be this total dickhead about all the DVDs and get all my money back. I'm just like, well, this one just didn't work, it's too scratched up. I'll just get the same DVD. Just, you don't even have to give me my money back, give me the same DVD. And they were just being total dickheads about it to her because I wasn't there. And then it was summertime, I remember, so I had cut off sleeves. I think that my tattoos always have to play into this, because as soon as I show up with tattoos, people are just like, oh, sorry, needle comes off the record. Yeah, you can have your money back. That's exactly what happened. She called me, I showed up. And like I remember I came over there like laughing, like because I was just like, what? They're really gonna try and say like they don't have time to put it in the DVD player and check it out? Like I was talking to her in English about that, but they just saw me like say something to her in English and like laugh because they can't understand anything I'm saying. And they're just like, oh, no, sir, it's totally okay. Here's your money back, and here's a coupon for a free DVD for your trouble and time, and sorry about all that. And like, things suddenly change. So you'll experience stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a positive thing. It helped out me, but I mean, the reason they're doing that is because they see me as like a really scary figure. So, I mean, just, focus on the positive stuff that you get from here. But do realize there is going to be negative stuff. Don't think that every day is going to be a goddamn happy, super sugar-coated day, and give Ryan Boundless a chance to make those videos when he's not happy about his time in Japan. Don't attack him for that, but at the same time, come up with your own philosophy for how to combat those kind of situations. I think it was Akasan, another J-vlogger, great guy, makes awesome videos. He has a very popular one called Shit Japanese People Say, and it's a hilarious video. You should check it out right now. He said, it is what you make it. Like, if you put out positive vibes, you'll get positive vibes back. He commented on the video like that. So he had a really good point. He made a really good point, I thought, and kudos to him for staying positive in any kind of situation that he's been in. I think he's really come up with his own sort of philosophies to really enjoy Japan. And that's what it's all about. Don't feel a fear of complaining about Japan. Don't worry about being negative about Japan with videos. Be realistic, talk about the good and the bad. Give people a realistic view of Japan. That's what I try to do with my dark side of Japan videos, but also with my many, many bright side of Japan videos, which is like every JFAQ I ever do. But at the same time, make sure you've got a philosophy ready to combat some of the negative situations you will have here. Hope you liked what you saw here today. This has been a very long JFAQ with Unrested, complimenting the Ryan Boundless video. I'll put the link for his down below in the description. If you like what you saw here today, please like, comment, and subscribe.